What's going on, and welcome into your casual gaming news conversation. I'm Nick, that's Connor, and this is your weekly gaming news podcast from Ep.26. Connor, how are we doing this morning?
I'm doing good. Played a lot of Mario Kart last night for the first time in a minute.
Oh.
Finally got off of that Breath of the Wild to play some online races. When I'm playing online Mario Kart alone with just randoms, I feel like my goals are different than when I'm playing with like you or like our friends. Like I'm trying to come in first when you and I are playing.
Yeah.
When I'm playing online, I'm like top three is enough probably. Like,
I'm trying to come in first, dude.
I'm trying to come in first, but like my standards for what is a successful round are way lower because like I'm getting like 20th place in some instances because you just get Mario Karted and then everybody passes you immediately.
There is more Mario Karting in this game than any game before.
Yeah.
The amount of times that I've literally we joke all the time like, oh, blue shell towards the end of the game, where it is legitimately like blue shell. Yeah, I was in first, blue shell right before the finish line, and then 3 cars pass you, and then you just have to shrug your shoulders. Is pretty nuts.
I had 3 knockout tours last night where I didn't make it past the first round.
I mean, that just makes sense because you suck at this game.
No, it's like I get knocked out by an item, and then like I'm trying to get an item at the next like location where there's like the item boxes, and somebody like drives right in front of me as I'm going through it. So then I have no item, and then I'm like, well, I'm just shit out of luck now. And it happened like twice in a row.
If you don't get items in this game, you are screwed way more so than like you can get like 6th place without getting items in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Like
Right.
you can like just find a way to draft your way towards the top. As people know, I'm really good at Mario Kart. Connor sucks at it. It's great.
Your way towards the top.
I was saying draft, like get behind people. But yeah, you can also drift to get those speed boosts. No, I'm having a good morning. I had a late night last night, but I did beat Sekiro.
Yes.
19th game this year. Where are you at with your amount of games on the year and everything?
Drastically over the last few weeks. Like Final Fantasy Tactics has like really been a huge roadblock for me. That game's long and I'm just like stuck and need to grind and don't really want to do that. So that like has been put on pause. And then I started Breath of the Wild, also a long game. I'm halfway done with that. Playing Mario Kart, so that counts. I beat Mario Kart.
We rolled credits.
Yeah.
That was really tough for me because I have a section in my notes apps that's play or scored but not beaten because you like can't beat it. Last year, the game like Helldivers 2 or Foam Stars or even Marvel Rivals. I have none of those games this year thus far, Connor. 0 of those games. It's really upsetting. But yeah, so you slowed down a bit.
Yeah, quite a bit.
I'm speeding up, Connor, because I'm going to beat another game today. I'm going to beat Death Stranding today.
Nice.
Literally, I am so excited to talk to you about this game. Let's just go into housekeeping because that deals with it. Housekeeping. We have a Patreon. You can get this show 3 days early, the Casual Gaming Conversation 3 days early, and a bonus episode of the Casual Gaming Conversation each and every week. Connor just did his Q&A. We have a bunch of spoiler casts for things like I'm going to go Expedition 33. Let's go South of Midnight and Split Fiction. Hell, let's talk about Trophy Talk, Connor. Let's get that one in there. A lot of fun podcasts over there. The backlog at this point, you were getting, I want to say, roughly 25 hours of bonus content over there.
For a cup of coffee.
For a cup of coffee. This cost like barely $1 less than that membership. It's crazy. So thank you for your support over there. But this upcoming week, Thursday, I made a promise. We always try to deliver on our promises on this channel. Death Stranding 1. I don't like review discussion. I don't want to say spoiler cast. I don't know exactly how we're going to phrase this.
I would think it would be a spoiler cast. Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe at the start.
Been out for
Oh, yeah, I know.
6 years.
Maybe at the start we can do spoiler-free impression sort of deal so people can actually understand where I'm at with this game before we just go all into the spoilers and everything. It's going to be a basic discussion. I am more excited about this podcast maybe than I've been about like any other podcast we've done this year. Like that's how stoked I am to talk to you about this game.
Dude, everybody who is a skeptic of Death Stranding that eventually goes and plays Death Stranding and like actually like dives into it ends up loving it.
Connor, who says I'm loving it? We got a lot to talk about.
I know you're loving it.
We got a lot to talk about on that podcast because maybe I don't love it. Anyways, at the $10 tier, you can go and get amazing shows like Recollection Retro, which Connor and I just shot this upcoming one. It's a great episode. You can also get things like the Co-op64 podcast, exclusive TikToks, and this week we got a fun one for you. We are going to be going and posting our summer Game Fest vlog. It's about 12 minutes of fun shenanigans with the full team out in LA. It's a great time there. Then, also, over on Patreon. If you go to the $25 tier, you get your name read at the end of every single podcast we do. And you get the opportunity to write in a topic for the Co-op 64 podcast. Co-op 64 podcast, always a good time. We talked about weather last time for a write-in topic. It got heated because Connor's wrong. Anyways, the Twitch stream, Monday, we are back with more Nuzlocke action. Connor, are any Pokemon safe?
No. Based off of the last stream where I thought we were going to cruise to the end because I over-leveled 3 Pokemon and we lost 2 of the 3. So sorry about that. But
so
now,
funny.
now I'm getting fresh Pokemon up in level. We're doing good. We're cooking. We're going to be set up to go to the end.
Are you still playing Breath of the Wild and like going 2 games at once to level up?
No.
Are you going to do that sometime this weekend?
Possibly.
That's going to be fun. On Tuesday and Thursday, Super Metroid with your boy Two Shoes. It's going to be a lot of fun going retro, something that I like to do every once in a while. What are you looking at? Going to the sky.
I don't think we can do that.
Why not?
Well, you can play. You're going to have to play on Switch.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was always the plan.
All right.
Yeah, okay.
Because like I thought you were. All right.
Go team.
Sounds good. Because I was like, I'm playing the SNES right now for Legend of Zelda.
Oh, yeah.
And so I thought you were going to use my SNES. Okay.
Oh, we're
cool.
good.
Yeah.
I thought about that. I was like, it's on NSO, so yeah, it should be fine.
Sweet.
Dude, look at us. Go team. Figuring it out on the fly. And then also on Wednesday, Connor's playing, like you just mentioned.
A Link to the Past.
And how has that been?
It's good. I finished the 4th or the 3rd dungeon in the second half of the game. And then we were in a position where we didn't have enough time to like really get into another dungeon. And when you save and quit out of the game, it like puts you back at like the starting area. So it's kind of annoying to like start a dungeon and not finish it. So we were just like, what are things we can do to set ourselves up better for the finale? So we like upgraded. We got like the teleport ocarina thing, so I can like fly around the map. We got multiple jars, so I can hold more potions. We got the net, so I can catch fairies. So when I die, I revive. We made it so my magic is half the cost to do this or whatever.
Why is your chat so kind to you, telling you to get all these upgrades, and here I can't get a single gourd seed?
They were telling me to do these things, and it was like, is it really worth it? Like, do we need to do this? Like, I kind of want to just keep progressing, and I was doing okay with where I was at, but we got to a boss that it was just like absolutely kicking my teeth in, and it was like, okay, like how do we do this? So like I went and got the second jar, got a fairy, got the blue potion. So I used the blue potion to like kind of tank a lot of the damage, and then when I went down, the fairy like gets you up. It's like a free life or whatever, and recharges your health. And I barely beat that boss, but it was super helpful. And then I was like, well, this was super helpful. Is there more helpful things we can do before the end of stream? So that was fun. There's more stuff that we can do after I beat the next dungeon to help set me up even better for the finale. So
nice.
Yeah.
So we got a fun week of streaming coming your way. Also coming up real soon, we do have my in one weekend Kingdom Hearts stream. I believe it's not this upcoming weekend, but the weekend after. I just want to put that on your radar. Also, things that need to be on your radar. Death Stranding 2 is coming out sometime this week. We will be playing it. We will be reviewing it. We will be doing it in due time, though. It's a long game by our understanding with the previews and everything like that. Just stay updated in the Discord for general thoughts and stuff like that as we go through it. But
I'm not going to rush this, though.
Yeah, Connor's not going to rush it. I'm not going to rush it either. I don't know how you rush a 7... Well, you can. It just sucks. So yeah, we're not going to rush it. We're just going to play the game at a normal pace.
The goal needs to be to get it done before the cruise, before Donkey Kong Bananza comes out.
That is. That's when our podcast schedule is.
Yeah.
Is the 14th. I believe we have that podcast scheduled. That is main pod, which is always fun to put a review on main pod. We have like 2 reviews on main pod, basically back to back between Bonanza, because obviously Nintendo doesn't send codes or anything like that, and then also Death Stranding 2 is going to be on the main pod, so a lot of fun there. Just a heads up though, those games we will be reviewing in the coming month. More housekeeping. Discord, join the Discord. We have over 2,700 members over. That's why I just say 2,500, Connor. That's why I just say 2,500. Yeah. We have over 2,500 members over on Discord. Join in the link down below. It is a blast always in the Discord. Also, we got some fun WWE stuff happening in the coming weeks. You're going to want to be tuned in on the sports channel.
Dude, the sports
out.
channel is just the WWE channel. It's literally just that. I go in there expecting like The NBA Finals is on right now. Rare to see anything about the NBA Finals in there.
Whoops. My bad.
Yeah.
Sorry that our community's fucking awesome. And then also merch, co-op64store.com. They're finally getting some of those orders out as we are going to go and transition away from that storefront and everything. But they are now pedal to the metal with your merch. So thank you so much.
We got another shipping notification today.
Yeah, thank you so much for sticking with us and all that stuff. Obviously, there's a lot of back-end stuff that we've been working on, but feel like we're moving into a really good place with the merch. So co-op64store.com. Stay locked over there. Review us over on Apple Podcasts. Say something nice about us. It makes my day better. It makes your day a little bit better and to compliment someone. And hey, I'll send you a compliment right now. You're looking real nice today. Go to the comment section down below and let us know what we messed up during this podcast so we can set the record straight on the next one. Nothing really in the comment section on this last pod when it came to corrections or anything like that. But if we messed something up, please go in the comments down below. And if you're in the comments down below right now, let me know what your favorite Pokemon is. All right, headline. Nintendo reveals new Donkey Kong Bananza gameplay info, including Pauline reveal. This is Chris Scullion at VGC. Quote, the company broadcast a 17-minute Nintendo Direct presentation focused solely on Bananza, showing more of the game's plot and gameplay. Most notably, the game shows that Donkey Kong will be accompanied by a child version of the long-time series character Pauline, who dreams of becoming a singer. The Direct also showed Donkey Kong's ability to perform a Bananza transformations, turning him into a variety of creatures such as a zebra or an ostrich for a limited time. Each creature has different powers. End quote. Connor, let's start here. Mm-hmm. We just saw the Donkey Kong Bananza Direct.
I didn't watch the whole thing. I got a recap of it because I didn't want to spoil it for myself.
Is this game now a contender against Expedition 33 for Game of the Year?
From what I saw from the breakdown that I watched, it looks much more complex and in-depth than originally was speculated from the people who went hands-on with it. It seems to have that Mario Nintendo magic. I think that this game looks great, like visually, and when it comes to like the direction that they're going with the gameplay aspects and like the terraforming and the transformations and the skill trees and everything, I think it's TBD on if it can compete with something like Expedition 33 for Game of the Year, but it's Nintendo and people love this shit and I love this shit. So I am officially all aboard the hype train. I was not on the hype train based off of the hands-on experiences that people got at those like Nintendo events. But from what I understand, from what people have said, they like barely scratched the surface with this game. And what was shown here wasn't a part of that demo experience. So I'm excited now. I'm sold. I'm in. How are you feeling?
Yeah, I'm hyped as fuck. This is awesome. Like, this is unbelievable, the way that they are able to legitimately turn the tide, in my opinion, on the conversation around this game. Like, I feel like since the Nintendo hands-on for just press, but then also people getting to go hands-on in the public with Donkey Kong Bananza, the aura around the game has just been shrouded in negativity to some level. It's a lot of fun, but it's really good. But and those buts are just so like not Nintendo. Normally it's like it's just magical, and that's the end of the sentence when you're talking about games like Breath of the Wild or Mario Odyssey. And a lot of people have been looking to Donkey Kong Bananza to be like, I need my Nintendo single player banger. We talked about it so much with this launch lineup of what is going to be that game and how are they going to capture the fans of the hardcore and everything. And when the previews were happening and it wasn't capturing the hardcore, the people that are willing to go and drive out to an event and play these games early and everything for just demos of 20 minutes, when you don't capture those fans, it's like, oof, this is really tough. These 17 minutes, I feel like, has changed the tune for everyone, literally everyone, when it comes to what we expect of this game. Because I do think it's a contender now. I do think that it has a chance to go toe-to-toe with something as amazing and special as an Expedition 33, because this game has a shit ton of depth, it seems. It has a cool story that's trying to tell. I was like, what story are we going to go with here? The fact that Pauline is this companion and it's going to be this like, we talk about like sad dad simulator and everything with the video games all the time, but like it's going to be a type of story that like is relying on companionship and trying to be better for each other. Like, you know me, I'm all about that shit. So Yeah, this is gonna be fucking awesome. I'm stoked. I can't wait for this. I legitimately went from like, I would say like 4 out of 10 hype, straight up. We need to go probably this weekend and shoot our top 10 most anticipated for the rest of the year and everything. And like, I don't know if this was gonna be on my list before that. Like, I don't think that was a guaranteed shoe in for what I expected of this game.
I'm more excited for this than I am Ghost. Just because I feel like I know exactly what Ghost is going to be, and I'm sure it's going to be excellent. This I'm just like really curious about, and I feel like I haven't been curious or like not 100% sold on a Mario game in the past, like where I automatically know that I'm going to like Odyssey. Whereas for this, it's like I need to really get I'm really excited to get my hands on it and actually experience this game and see like how it all functions and like works together with all these different aspects. But I think that, as you said, like a lot of the concern a lot of people had from those demos was that it was just too basic. It was like just kind of mindless. Like you're just kind of terraforming the world and like breaking apart stuff to get to like the collectibles. But like from this, it just seems like they're just going to keep layering new aspects on top of each other to make it more and more complex.
There's fucking RPG mechanics in this game.
Yeah.
There's a skill tree in a Mario game, basically, like
Right.
in a 3D platform. That's fucking awesome. And like, they're going for it. By all accounts, it seems like they are saying, all right, we want this to be unbelievable. This is speculation. This is not in the news story or anything, but I want to go down this rabbit hole because we talked a little bit about this in the car yesterday while we were shooting Recollecting. Word on the street is this might not be the Odyssey team. And obviously when it comes to Nintendo, they're always very behind closed doors when it comes to who's working on what, just in general. We didn't know who was working on Mario and Luigi Brothership until the credits rolled. Like they just didn't say it. Do you think that this could be not this team, but like there's a couple rumors out there and stuff like that.
It was a spin-off team, so it is the team.
True. Sorry,
it's
yes.
just they probably spun some people off and then built from there. So if that is true, I think that's awesome. Just because it means that we're probably going to get a Mario game sooner than later. And I understand like there being some disappointment that this isn't a Mario game. That it's a like guarantee of quality basically when it comes to 3D Mario platformers, that you kind of know what you're going to get and they really haven't missed. So when you have some level of uncertainty with a Donkey Kong game, I understand like some frustration or worry on what this exactly is or what it's going to be. So the fact that we're going to get the best of both worlds with something new and fresh potentially with Donkey Kong, and right around the corner we might have a 3D Mario game, sounds amazing.
Yeah. Okay. Let's break this down real quick. If we are getting this Donkey Kong game in August, do you think that like we could
July?
Sorry. Oh, I don't even know why I went with August there. We get this game in July. Do you think we get 3D Mario pre-holiday next year? Potentially.
Pre-holiday next year?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that there like is a shot that you get it this year. Like it's possible. Like, but so like I would say that like any of those are possible. I wouldn't bet on it by any means, but like Donkey Kong Bananza in July and then like summer, fall next year, you could see a 3D Mario potentially.
Let's bring this all in. Let's go to another story. This was actually our last story on the docket, but we're going to bring it in because it's all Nintendo conversation and it talks about the timeline that we're going to be getting this year. This is an updated story. This story's been ongoing because of social media. This is Nintendo's response to this headline: confused Nintendo fans spot giant Metroid Prime 4 Beyond advert stating the game is, quote, out now, end quote, sparking hope of an imminent release. This is Tom Phillips at IGN. Quote, Nintendo has confirmed to IGN that the Metroid Prime 4 Beyond advert currently at Oxford Circus in London is incorrect, and the game still lacks an official release date. Quote, we can confirm that the, quote, out now, end quote, message on the advert is incorrect, end quote, a Nintendo spokesperson said. Quote, Metroid Prime 4 Beyond and Metroid Prime 4 Beyond Nintendo Switch 2 Edition are not yet available and are scheduled for release in 2025, end quote. IGN has been able to verify the advert currently remains in place at the station, as detailed in our original report below, end quote. So, by the way, I love the way this reads and everything. It's like, we want to confirm Metroid Prime 4 is not out right now. It's like, yeah, okay, we can't boot it up. It's on its storefront. But I do think that this is an important conversation to even having the Donkey Kong conversation. Are we getting Metroid Prime 4 Beyond soon?
They have these things printed out and ready to be put up, and apparently accidentally already put up. I think that this confirms that it's first before Kirby and before Pokemon. So we had speculation of like there's going to be 1 month seemingly where they're not going to have anything between the titles that we don't have confirmed dates on, which is Metroid Prime and Kirby, and then Pokemon is slotted in October. So it's either going to be like November or September or like August that are off.
One of those would be off. I got a point to hop in on, but continue on with yours.
So I think that this means it's August, personally. I think that we get a direct potentially in July to kind of slate out the rest of the year. We've gotten directs in July in the past, right?
I think we've only potentially. I think it's
been a
normally
while,
June.
but I think that the last time we got a direct in July was they showed like a snippet of Tears of the Kingdom and announced Skyward Sword remaster. I like specifically remember this because I was in Brady and Mitchell's apartment, and me and Mitchell were watching it together.
That's such a odd pull. I'm looking now. Normally it is E3. I don't know if we've ever had a 7. It's normally 6. It's normally in late June or early June.
Well,
yep, it was June.
It's still possible. It's still possible we get one in June. But yeah, I think this is August now, potentially early September, and then you do October with Pokemon, and then you do November with Kirby.
Connor, I think this game's September because you're forgetting about a Nintendo made. They want to push it. They want to get it in your hands.
Is it
Video
Hyrule
game.
Warriors?
No.
What is it?
Drag and Drive.
Oh, yeah.
And as much as we want to sleep on Drag and Drive, they don't want you to sleep on Drag and Drive.
When is that?
It is summer 2025. We still don't have a date.
Oh, okay.
And so I think that they're going to have a moment where they say, hey, Twitter, Nintendo app, something, just real quick, Drag and Drive is out this August. I think that that's the cadence that they want to go with. And people are going to be like, we're going to look back on this year and people are going to be like, oh yeah, August was a month off. It's like, no, they had a first party title. I don't think it's exactly going to sell gangbusters by any means, but that is the game that they're going to want to push seemingly this summer. It's not June. It's not, they're not going to do the silly September 2nd thing. It's going to be August. It's going to actually be in the core summer of what most people think about when they think summer. And then I think September is Metroid at this point. I think that.
When do you think they reveal this though?
What, the information or for Metroid?
Yeah.
I think you can get away with like. The hard part is at this point, going into this podcast, because we're now talking through some things, I would say we are not getting a direct till September. That's where I was at going into this. Now the question is, how do we get this fucking information out?
Yeah. Do they do it in the app?
Potentially.
That's such a weird thing to do. I don't know.
It's Nintendo, dude. They do
they
weird
announced
decisions.
this Splatoon game in the fucking app.
That would have been, honestly, like, we could have cooked up an entire direct with, hey, we're going to do 17 minutes on Donkey Kong and let's go and add this Splatoon thing. Let's go and add Metroid. Let's get like 2 more indies in there and like
Third party stuff.
It's a couple third parties. Boom.
You get the Red Dead news in there or whatever.
Yeah,
like,
why not?
Yeah, that it's coming to Switch too.
Let's have a little bit of a conversation about the third party here. We will have that conversation in a moment. But like the way that Switch 2 and the way we're getting this information, where are you at? Do you think that we're waiting until September, or do you think that it's going to be an August or July direct? You're staking your you're putting your stake in the ground, being like, we are getting a July direct.
I feel like that would be smart to do that, just to kind of like get the roadmap out for the rest of the year for excitement for people who want to pick up a Switch 2 and be like, hey, this is what you're going to be playing this year.
Yeah.
You already know that you're playing Pokemon Z to A in October, but like confirm Metroid. That's the next thing up after you finish Donkey Kong. If we get through Donkey Kong and we're 2 weeks after that, and then people are looking around like October is the next one, like that's a problem, I think, for your marketing, for selling your console. Like I think Nintendo has done such a good job of being like, the next one is just right around the corner.
Yeah.
And they did it so well with Switch 1 that I think that it would be dumb to not do that with Switch 2 and have that whole roadmap for at least the rest of the year to be like, okay, like August Metroid, October Pokemon, November Kirby. We haven't seen any Kirby Air Riders gameplay.
That's a big part of where I'm at, but that's why I'm like September makes sense. I think that they can get away with, and this was my thought process beforehand. It's as silly as this would be. We've seen a ton of Metroid Prime 4. We've seen a ton of that game between the Treehouse, where we get to see like 17 minutes of gameplay or whatever it was, 12 minutes, I don't know, and then we got 2 trailers, the re-reveal trailer last summer, and then another one in the direct. Like, we've seen a fuck ton of this game, it feels like, at this point. I think that they'd be okay with just releasing it on the app, a date, and I think that that's dumb. I also think that that's Nintendo at some level.
I don't disagree.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what everybody else is doing at this point. Like,
Exactly.
we got the Ghost release date on a random
day,
like morning, with a full trailer and everything.
I should react to that trailer. Gosh darn it, that was such a fun moment. Like, I live for that shit. I was playing Persona, if you don't know. That's why I did not. But like, gosh darn it, what a moment. I think that at this point, though, it's probably going to be September Direct, and that kind of stinks. I think we're going to get Dragon Drive release date for August. I think that we're going to get a September date on Metroid still. But I think
do you think it's good to have a month gap there? And I guess we're including Dragon Drive and say that that's enough of a stopgap in between the two.
That's not. There's no gap then. Yeah.
Okay.
Which that's the hard part. And I know people are gonna be like, "It's a gap, Nick." Like, cool it, but like,
it's not gonna light the world on fire. Probably like a Metroid Prime 4 potentially could.
Totally, but there's going to at one point this year. It just depends on the cadence that you want. There's going to be a moment where you're not playing your Switch. And I know that they don't necessarily want that, but like the Nintendo hardcore fans that are going to pick up Dragon Drive are going to have a great time with it and go from there. But I think that the cadence that we're at is, let's break it down. It's really simple. And this is partially why I'm like, I wanted a direct this summer. I live for that shit. But like June, Mario Kart, July, Donkey Kong, August, Dragon Drive, September, Metroid Prime 4, October, Pokemon, November, Kirby Air Riders, December, Hyrule Warriors, Age of Calamity, or whatever the other sequel is called.
Yeah.
That's the year. And I think that that's a really fucking solid year, especially if Donkey Kong Bonanza, going back to story number 1, is in the legitimate conversation. I would have, before that direct, I would have said, 90% chance it is not there at the end of the year in the top 6. Like, I thought that this was going to be a 87, 86, 85 type game. And I'm not saying that it's not going to be. There's a chance that it comes out and it doesn't do what Nintendo games normally do, which is blow your fucking mind and put a smile on your face and make you feel like you're just in a awesome sandbox world. Like, from what we talked about a little bit in the car yesterday, this game Tears of the Kingdom with its creativity. It's trying to go and allow the player.
It's a puzzle game. It seems like more than like a precision platformer.
Exactly.
Like, figure out how to get to this thing by doing this or whatever, transforming, and
which is super fucking cool. Like, this is going to be awesome. And if early on, if the Switch starts out with the 1-2 punch, and people like to talk about the 1-2 punch all the time of getting both Breath of the Wild and Mario Odyssey in the same year, unbelievable that they pulled that off, and it's in the same calendar year. Those games were 6 months apart. Like, we can talk about, we got Mario Kart 8 Deluxe a month after release and everything, and that was a great move and
then
kept people playing their
Splatoon.
Yeah, there was a bunch of releases, but like, once again, ARMS wasn't impressing too many people. Splatoon is for an audience, it's not for everyone. I think that like we're in a cadence that we will never ever have 2017 ever again when it comes to Switch things, mainly, or when it came to Switch 2, mainly because the amount of time that we have left in this year. We get 6 months compared to 9 months. So it's hard to go and be like, it needs to deliver as much. But that year that I just laid out, which is 7 games in 7 months being something to play, a reason to boot up your Switch, a reason to buy stuff. We are going to do our Switch 2 review this weekend. I'm very excited about it. But like, the fact is, people will always buy the new thing when they got the new console, because Yakuza 0 is collecting dust on your shelf right now. I haven't touched Breath of the Wild's update yet because I've been playing Mario Kart and Death Stranding and a bunch of other shit, and Sekiro, and just like nonstop doing other shit. Like, you want to buy the new stuff. So I honestly think that like, they're in a really good spot right now. They're going to sell these other titles because it's the first year of the Switch, and they don't need to do a lot more heavy lifting. And when we talked often going into the Switch about the need to go and do shit, they're all the higher ups at Nintendo are laughing in our face, being like, "Need? Like, we just sold 3.5 million copies in 4 days. We don't need to do jack shit." Like,
yeah, I think that's one piece of like criticism I have is stacking your two biggest titles right on top of each other. Like the fact that we're getting Mario Kart and Bonanza, which are, in my opinion, like they're two major games back to back, and then we're not getting another major game, which you would consider to be like a 3D Mario or a 3D Zelda until next year, or Smash Bros or something like that.
Are we sleeping on
Animal
Pokemon?
Crossing.
Are we sleeping on Pokemon?
Pokemon's big. Yeah, Pokemon's huge.
That's the hard part.
I'm talking
right?
like hardcore gamer like type stuff.
Dude,
whatever.
but the amount of people that I've talked to in the past 3 months leading into the Switch that has been, yeah, I'm just gonna wait till Pokemon.
Is Pokemon gonna like be up for Game of the Year? I guess is like the kind of conversation
you're
that I'm
talking about talking about your
like high
90
critic
plus
stuff.
fucking Metacritics. You're talking about 10s across the board. I get it. Yes. I think the next one that we're gonna get that was Metroid Prime. You know, like.
Yeah, I'm really curious to see how Metroid Prime is received, because like Metroid isn't this big franchise.
No,
it's always been really high quality, but it's just not like this thing that sells gangbusters. But like Metroid Dread did really well.
Yeah,
so like this could be a new moment for Metroid to shine, really.
Let's be real. If you sold on Switch 1 and you were Nintendo first party with that install base, you sold gangbusters. It really felt that way. If you had a quality product and you had the install base, you were going to sell like.
And Metroid Prime 4 is going to be on there.
Yeah,
on Switch
and I think that it's going to sell a fuck ton. Like I think that this is going to be a 10 million copy sold situation for a Metroid game.
Yeah,
which is nuts. But like, let me go and find Pikmin 3, right? Or is it Pikmin 4? Pikmin 4 sales. Like that feels low.
That sounds right to me.
Really?
3.48 million.
3.48 million. All right. Yeah, I think that's going to sell a lot more than that. I think it's going to sell a lot more than Pikmin 4 did.
Pikmin's has to be their most niche
Pikmin
title. Yeah, like first party, other than like with stuff that's like gotten a one-off.
Connor, I got a question for you, because this podcast is already going in a direction that is where I want it to go always. Off the fucking rails, where we are 2 stories deep. We're basically 1.5 stories deep. We're 30 minutes in. This is a conversation I've been meaning to have with you for a while. You know, this is an important thing to my heart. Do we break out the whiteboard and start actually deciding where Nintendo's top 5 actually is?
What do you mean?
Because you're talking about franchises. We might not need to break out the whiteboard for this, but where are you at with this? Because when we talk right now, the cadence that the audience has and what we have is very different, I feel like, when it comes to what we actually are talking about when it comes to some of these franchises. Because
what is the metric though that we're talking about? Like sales wise, or like just like general importance?
I think general importance, because
I think it's Mario 1, obviously, and then Zelda.
Is Zelda 2, because I think it's Pokemon.
Oh fuck. Well, Pokemon's probably 1 then.
I think. Here's the thing: when you think Nintendo, you think Mario first.
So Mario, Pokemon, Zelda.
Yeah, and those are your big 3. And then Animal Crossing 4 at this point, or is it Splatoon?
Smash.
That's hard, because that's.
And where do we is Kart mixed in with just Mario in general?
I think it is. That's that Mario as a brand across the board. That's what makes it a dominant force.
Animal Crossing next, and then maybe Smash Bros after that.
Smash is such an interesting one because it sells a ton, and it is the fighting game for a lot of people and everything.
And then you just have a mix of a ton of IP after that that's just like kind of in this weird nebulous space that does well on certain platforms and has their shining moments, but like Star Fox, where like it hasn't been relevant for like a very long time, but like still might have some IP power to like come back.
Star Fox doesn't have IP power. I'm convinced of this at this point. There is some
nostalgia, dude. I don't know.
How many
Star Fox 64 is like considered like a excellent game.
Star Fox 64 Metacritic. Let's see what we got here. I'm going to guess an 82. 88. Holy shit. Good for Star Fox 64. Getting after it.
I'm shocked there's even reviews for it on
Metacritic.
Metacritic.
Dude, people get crazy. Go back in the backlog, have a fun time there. I think that when we're talking though about like Nintendo's next year and everything. And we're going to have a probably very in-depth discussion about this on Casual Gaming Conversation with Switch 2 review, and sort of that last conversation I assume will be where are we going and how is this going to evolve over the next 6 months, a year, 2 years and everything with this console, because it's such an interesting thing to review a console always only after a few weeks of playing it. I think that the cadence is extremely strong for what Nintendo's trying to do. I think it just might not be strong for what every single person wants.
Yeah.
Because you don't have Mario and Zelda.
Right.
And that's it. Like, the fact that they're able to pull out literally every fucking major IP, it feels like, outside of Animal Crossing and Smash Bros., which timeline-wise, and Sakurai's working on Kirby Air Riders, and I don't think we're going to get an Animal Crossing until there's a strong install base on the Switch 2 and everything. Literally every IP that is ready to go, they're bringing out in a major way. Donkey Kong, and which is sneaky, also one of those big franchises that Nintendo has that's not just Mario. Donkey Kong is their own franchise to some level at this point.
It really hasn't been, though, in a very long time. Like, in the 3D space, rather.
Yeah.
Like a big franchise, like something on the level that can compete with their big dogs, like Mario and
Splatoon
Zelda.
even. Like, it's been lower than stuff like that recently, but I do think that it is a major franchise, and we can talk about the push that they've given Donkey Kong recently with just the Mario movie and the way that they're trying to put more Donkey Kong shit in their theme parks and everything.
Right.
So, but I do think that the cadence that we're on is a good one, and I think that everyone is not going to be happy with this, but there's a ton of fucking games coming out. And I feel like a lot of them, this is all going back to the story number one initial point. A lot of these games have great dates and are going to come out in a timely fashion, and you're going to have a reason seemingly to pick up your Switch almost. I'm going to say almost. Let's remove Dragon Drive from it, and let's remove Hyrule Warriors, because I think that, like, for us, for example, we're not picking up those titles. That's not for us necessarily.
I might give Dragon Drive a
Would that be a really fun stream, dude? Especially it's 3v3, dude. You, me, and Brady on the same couch getting after it. That could be a lot of fun. I do think that there's a lot of reason to go and try these games and have fun, and they're going to be selling hand over fist copies. And the way that, like, I love the Nintendo stories always, because it's always fun to read out. Where are we at with this? No, we're going down to the Metroid Prime 4 story. It's always Metroid Prime 4 Beyond and Metroid Prime 4 Beyond Nintendo Switch 2 edition. Like, though that cadence comes up so often, and every single time I read that, I'm like, the second I say the original copy and not the Nintendo Switch 2 version, I'm like, oh yeah, this is going to sell a fuck ton.
How big of a deal do you think Kirby Air Riders is going to be?
Niche, big. Like, I think that it's going to be, like,
I don't know,
a really rock
What if
solid.
it's amazing? What if it's like 92 on Metacritic?
We're talking
Is
about
that
a racing
possible?
game, basically.
Well, I don't
like.
It's kind of a racing game, but like at the same time, it's not. Like, I don't know.
I don't.
And we don't really know what it is. Like, they could be doing like a different direction with it. Where
Dude,
like,
give me a story mode, like a straight up story mode in this game. Give me it's there's something light. What's the story in Smash Ultimate?
World of Light.
World of Light. Thank you so much. And then Subspace Emissary. Give me Subspace Emissary in Kirby Air Riders. Come on, Connor. Oh, this podcast has gone completely off the fucking rails. We got more Switch for you. Headline: third-party Switch 2 game sales have started off slow, with one publisher selling, quote, below our lowest estimates, end quote. This is Jordan Miller at VGC. Quote, while the Nintendo Switch 2 hardware has enjoyed record-breaking launch sales, some third-party publishers have reportedly found that the console's success hasn't translated to a thriving third-party market yet. In a new report from the game business, it's claimed that other than CD Projekt Red's Cyberpunk 2077, most third-party games have struggled to sell on Switch 2. Quote, most third-party Switch 2 games posted very low numbers, end quote. The report reads, quote, one third-party publisher characterized the numbers as, quote, below our lowest estimates, end quote, despite strong hardware sales, end quote. According to the report, 62% of Switch 2 physical game sales in the United States during the console launch week came from first-party titles. This excludes the Mario Kart World Bundle, which accounted for the vast majority of console sales in the region. End quote. More Switch news. Third party not selling well. Connor, when we discussed third party not selling well. Does this shock you?
Not necessarily for a multitude of reasons. I think mostly just that people are buying the bundle. They're playing Mario Kart. That's what they're buying the Switch 2 for, and that's what they're content with at launch. And that third-party stuff will kind of trickle up as time goes on, as people kind of get a little bit tired of Mario Kart, want to play something else. They might pick up Yakuza 0 or Bravely Default or whatever. Is this digital sales as well?
I do not know. I think it's probably physical.
And then when it comes to the physical aspect of it, which even if it does include digital sales here, it's still a factor. The game key card thing, as somebody who loves physical and would like to collect physical Switch 2 games, I'm not buying one if it's a game key card. Just not going to do it. So if that factors in here into people's decision making on, like, you go to the store to get your Switch 2 on opening night or when they did the midnight release for like Best Buy, and they have all the games sitting there for you to pick stuff up and like add on to your purchase. And I was like, I literally picked up Bravely Default and I was like, I'm gonna buy this. And then I was like, game key card, like I'm good. And I put it right back. I picked up Cyberpunk because it was the full game, and I was like, okay, that's fine. Yeah, I want to be able to put this into my Switch and be able to play it immediately without needing to re-download it every single time I want to like clear up space or something for Yakuza or Bravely Default. So I just it just seems like an extra step for those game key card processes of just having to put in the cartridge every single time I want to play it rather than just have it already downloaded onto my console. So, but I think mostly here, it's just a matter of time. Third-party stuff sells really well on Switch 1, but also it's a lot of new releases, like indie stuff, which does well on the platform. But then you also have stuff that like is exciting to be able to play it portably for the first time, and you see that with something like Cyberpunk. Whereas I don't think people were really like chomping at the bit to play Yakuza 0 portably, or like you've already been able to play Bravely Default portably on 3DS, and now it's just available on Switch. So it's like, okay, like that's exciting, but it's not, the novelty of playing it portably isn't there. So yeah, I mean, I'm not really shocked by this, but I do think that this is just like an out the gate problem and something that will be rectified as time goes on.
I completely agree. I also want to toss out the point of just the IP power for some of these titles aren't as major as previous high-selling Switch 1 games when it came to the third party, where you're talking about Witcher and Batman and Skyrim, what had really solid sales numbers. And it's like, yeah, those are some of the biggest titles ever, and now you're able to take them on the go. There is that push there. Whereas like Yakuza is not this like, I know that it's a very beloved series and does well, but it's not like a gangbusters like. Our mom doesn't know about Yakuza 0 and everything, or Bravely Default, but she's probably heard about Cyberpunk with just news stories and random shit there. And so, like,
our mom has not heard of Cyberpunk.
You know, this is why the internet is great. Text message to mom and have you heard of Cyberpunk 2077? There we go.
There's no shot.
If the answer is yes, Connor,
she's going to look it up potentially and then be like,
maybe she has. No. She's going to look it up and maybe she's like, yeah, I've heard about Keanu Reeves because Keanu believes, dude. All right. No, I think that's going to sell very well. And it was always destined to sell well. If you had to go and before the Switch 2 launched and everything, we thought that something like FF7 Remake was going to be on there day one and everything. I think that if that was on there, a major fucking IP, Final Fantasy, excuse me, if you're an Xbox player, you haven't had the opportunity to even play that in a minute, there is so much reason to go out there and purchase a major fucking IP title. Whereas Yakuza, I feel like if you're a Yakuza fan, you're probably going to go and do the damn thing anyways and pick it up and go for that, because like it's not going to be your Switch 2. Like I don't know who's running out to buy a Switch 2 for anything except for Nintendo first party in the first place. Mm-hmm. But when you're talking about that secondary purchase, it's like I am not shocked that the game with Keanu Reeves on it and that is this beloved, awesome video game. Does it have the like Phantom Liberty DLC in there and everything?
But apparently runs like shit.
Yeah. Oh, the Phantom Liberty DLC?
Just the Phantom Liberty
Okay.
part. Yeah.
That's interesting because I've heard the game runs pretty damn well. I assume Idris Elba then is also on the cover of this game. Like, that's such an easy market
on
purchase.
The cover.
Yeah, I think so.
The box art is just V.
Really? For this one?
Yeah, I own the game.
Switch to Cyberpunk.
And it's just V on the regular.
That's so interesting. I could have sworn. Nope, it's this. Keanu and Idris Elba
I
right
guess
there.
you're right. I'm wrong.
First for everything, Connor.
You said it, not me.
Me being right on a podcast feels pretty
blend
damn
in
good.
with the box art.
But you know what I'm saying, though? We have Keanu Reeves and Idris Elba on a case.
Okay.
It's so easy to just pick and pop, right?
Yeah.
And so, like, going and having that be the case, I think is so strong to be like, yeah, third party, easy, good to go. And then you bring up the keycard factor in there when you're talking about the hardcore gamer. I think that 95% of the people that are buying Switch have no idea about the keycard thing. Just have no fucking idea. Yeah.
Interesting. I don't know. I don't really have an argument to the contrary, but I can't believe that.
But because people, I think people that like are buying Switch,
the fact
Switch,
that it's listed on the box though is the thing.
How often are people just scrolling past terms of agreement and not reading the box and just moving on with their like?
And it was a news story too. It was there was a whole conversation around the fact that
maybe 95 was
aren't
a little bit of hyperbole, but you know what I'm saying. Where it's like the Switch is a console for the general consumer. There will be I will eventually go to like one of our parents' friends' places that don't play a ton of video games that are like, well, you have a Switch too? Yeah, of course I have a Switch. Like, that's just what the Switch 1 turned it into.
Right.
Where the amount of times that I would go to a random place and I'm like, there should not be a Switch 1 here. I'm not thinking about it, but all of a sudden it's fucking there. I'm like, what the fuck? Okay, let's do this now. It is really cool and really awesome. And I think that the Switch 2 is going to turn into that. So I don't think that, like, and when I talk about, like, I will always go back to parents' friends being like, they don't think about the game key card. They don't know what that is. They just want to play Mario Kart with their kids and have a good time.
Right.
Like, and the amount of people that are doing that and having that moment, I don't think are thinking about that too much. With that being said, I do think that that is also contributing 100%, even if it's a smaller percentage. It's 100% contributing to the amount of people that are like, fuck that, I don't want a key card. The amount of people that are just in our Discord or the general discussion around TikTok, they're like, fuck that, I do not want a key card or like just anything that isn't going to be the actual game fully on the cartridge. Makes sense. It's fair. For me, I like a case. Like,
I mean, that's the full game, though.
This is the full game, but like Mario Kart, dude, like
the cases
I like
look
the
way
case.
better than I thought.
They do
were
look way
going to.
better. Oh goodness, it's always a risk taking something off the back wall and hoping that it doesn't glare back at you. But yeah, no, I think that it's a really cool thing to go and be like, you're not gonna sell great if you aren't fully on cartridge, and I hope that that moves the needle a little bit. But I don't think that's gonna move the needle enough for some of these companies to steer away from this. Headline: Xbox and AMD advancing the next generation of gaming together. This is Joe Scrubbles at Xbox Wire. Quote, this week, Xbox announced it's actively building its next generation lineup across console, handheld, PC, cloud, and accessories. As part of this, Xbox unveiled that it has entered into a strategic multi-year partnership with AMD to co-engineer silicon across a portfolio of devices, including future first-party consoles and cloud. This work is part of Xbox's commitment to deliver an enduring gaming platform that enables you to play across devices in entirely new ways, with an Xbox experience designed for players, not locked to a single store or tied to one device. End quote. Connor, Xbox, AMD, they're in bed together, they're hanging out. What's your thought process with this? Obviously, the big headlines across the board has been just the onslaught of you're going to be able to have Steam with your next Xbox, multiple storefronts. That last line is the stinger there. Not locked to a single store or tied to one device. They're going all in on really having this great ecosystem of hardware. Where are you at with this partnership?
I think it's cool that we're getting more Xbox hardware. I just think it's really interesting, like, what the end goal of this is. Like, I think having all this choice is really great, and being able to play Steam games on like a dedicated console is cool and good for consumers. But I don't really know what Xbox is thinking or trying to do with their future of like the Xbox brand. It's like, why would you ever buy anything on Xbox Store ever again if you can buy it on Steam and have that easy access across PC and everything. Like, and you already have your Steam library. It's like, I don't know. Like, I think it's really kind of up in the air on whether or not this is going to work out in their favor. If this is going to push the needle for people to be like, oh, well, on PlayStation, I get all these exclusives, but on this new Xbox platform, I can play the Xbox exclusives, and then all my Steam games, I'm going to get that instead. Like, I don't know if that really moves the needle in such a drastic way. I don't know. I think this is interesting and cool. I think PlayStation already works with AMD.
I have
correct?
no idea.
I'm pretty sure that they do. It's just I just don't know what the Xbox identity is at this point. So that's kind of my read on this.
Yesterday, not once but twice, this came up with just general people. One person was at Target. Shout out to this guy. He shouted us out, being like, "Hey, TikTok's not dead yet. Congrats," and everything. And I was like, "Thanks, man. You're awesome." He brought up this story and being like, "Are you guys going all in on Xbox and everything?" There is a groundswell under this that is pretty fucking nuts. Because then also in Twitch chat last night, somebody came in, first time chat. "Hey, love your guys' content. I don't know which one to buy right now. Should I be going all in on the Xbox ecosystem, or should I be going in for PlayStation?" And I think that conversation is very interesting. And I gave the exact response that I always give to this question. Are you somebody that's stoked about the lineup that is over on Game Pass? Because I think that if you love what's over there and be like, yeah, I want to play Hollow Knight and Metaphor and the Master Chief Collection and Expedition 33, all those games for $20, it's a great deal. But then on the other side is you have the big boy 90 plus exclusives. On the last, I don't know which podcast it was, I've sat with this for the past week and everything. And like, I do a lot of like cheering up Xbox, because Xbox fans, I know you're down bad, because as someone that does enjoy Team Green quite a bit, we're down bad a little bit when it comes to some of
PlayStation's
those
not
games.
doing great either right now.
That's a big issue with it.
So
with that being said, there are not those 90 plus fucking first party bangers on the Xbox side of the ball right now. There's not. We're getting there's great games,
and that's not going to change with this
No.
new ecosystem.
No, it's not.
I mean, I hope it does. I hope that Fable and Gears and the future of Halo, like, we're talking about stuff that can compete with the exclusives over on PlayStation or Nintendo. It's just not happened so far.
And we talk about the dominoes lining up and everything. The dominoes have lined up where there's now a consistent cadence of good to great games that you can pick up for $20 over on Game Pass and have a great time with. But you're not getting Donkey Kong Bananza or Astrobot or The Last of Us or God of War or Ghost of Yotei or the next Mario platformer or Breath of the Wild
Or Death
or
Stranding too.
Like I just
Until later, which a lot of people are like, well, with Steam, like, PlayStation games will eventually come over. And it's like, for me, I'm not going to wait a year or 2 years or however long it's going to be to play Spider-Man 2.
I'm gonna throw this out there. They're gonna fucking lock that shit down.
I 100% agree. I think that on the handheld, it's one situation or whatever where it's like an ROG Ally with an Xbox skin on it or whatever, and with like the Xbox UI, they're like, okay, we'll let that slide. But if it's like an Xbox console, it's like they're gonna
the PlayStation and Sony's entire marketing strategy is exclusivity.
Yeah.
And that is the reason you fucking buy
and same with Nintendo.
A PlayStation and a Nintendo console is exclusivity.
That's why I'm frustrated with the identity idea here of, like, it doesn't seem like they're fixing that problem. It's like, why buy an Xbox for exclusives that are all eventually also going to come to PlayStation as well?
The identity is Play Anywhere. That is where they're going. And that's what obviously where we saw the showcase, and it's Play Anywhere all the time, and it's this big push. And my thing, I go back to the statement of, I don't need to play an 8 out of 10 game anywhere. I'm not playing those types of games anywhere in most cases anyway. If I'm on the go, or if I'm in my apartment for some reason not locked in on my TV, I'm going to go and just pick up my Nintendo Switch 2 and play Deltarune and do that for an hour or two. Like, Xbox hasn't had that release for me as somebody that loves what they've tried to do this generation with some of their titles, where it's like Hi-Fi Rush, top 3 favorite game or top 5 favorite game for me ever. Forza Horizon 5, I don't shut the fuck up about it. I understand that. Like, it's been a while since we've gotten a banger, and I like the novelty of going and picking up a Xbox for titles like that in the future. But it's been a couple years since Hi-Fi, and now we're at the point that I like. There's not that recent, especially at a $700 or a $900 price point for the ROG and everything. And then obviously, if we're just talking future hardware, it's like the Xbox isn't getting any cheaper. We're talking about a $600 console at this point.
Yeah.
Like, it's tough. It's not an easy sell. And so when somebody comes into the Twitch chat and asks, like, hey, where should I be pointing my dollar and everything? And it's like, that's such a tough question because I obviously don't. Part of our part of the channel is having that discussion of like why we review games and wanting to make sure that y'all are putting your dollar in the right area and everything. But like, it really is a what do you want? And I think that this is Xbox's like best claim to fame that they've had maybe in ever. Like with it being like, yeah, we might be partnering up with Steam and you're going to be able to take this everywhere. Like that is a dream situation for something like that. And it's only able to happen because they're Microsoft and you have the money and you have the infrastructure to go and really push this with your Windows operating system. I think that they're doing good work right now. It does need to be applauded to some level that they're actually having a win. But as always, I'm going to wait till the games come out.
This is objectively like a good consumer friendly move. I'm just concerned about the future of Xbox and if it's a good business move. That's my curiosity. Like I can't deny that like having Steam on your Xbox, like that's awesome. Like that's really cool. Like if you already have that that library over on Steam, like you are essentially could potentially be doubling your library on Xbox and being able to just kind of boot those games up with ease without like having to like plug in a controller to your PC and hook it up to your TV and like have that kind of couch experience. Like that's cool. Like I do understand that aspect. I just don't know, like I buy PlayStation because like I think PlayStation and I think these games, like the PlayStation exclusive games, I buy Nintendo, same reason or whatever, Mario, Zelda. I just don't know if like adding Steam into the mix here is like going to fix your identity problem where Halo's kind of on the back burner. Gears has been kind of dormant for a while. We're finally getting Gears back now. Fable's been taking forever. Like, and then all of your other stuff that is trickling out to PlayStation is getting less and less related to your Xbox brand, and it's not being overwhelmingly received super positively. Like I like Avowed a lot and I like Indiana Jones a lot, but Indiana Jones isn't exactly like The World on Fire, and Avowed is mixed. And then we have stuff later this year like The Keeper, which is I don't think is going to sell consoles by any means.
Stoked about that game. It's going to be really fun. Right. That's going to be like my favorite 8 out of 10 this year. And that's the issue when we talk about these titles often.
It's just like I don't think adding Steam into the mix fixes that problem.
It doesn't.
And being like, you need an Xbox because you need to play these games or whatever. And that's what everybody else is doing. And I don't think that the future that we're talking about here is going to make them competitive again with PlayStation. What I think would make them competitive with PlayStation is taking all their games back and making them exclusive. But I do not know. Hopefully, like this could potentially like push them into a space where they have a lot of consoles out there, and then maybe then they can start pulling stuff back and being like, you can only play this on Xbox. Buy an Xbox for this. I think that's good for the industry. It might not be like the most consumer-friendly thing because like if you're only on PlayStation, you want to play some of these Xbox games, you're probably like, well, I don't like exclusives because I want to play these games.
Yeah.
But it's like I think it's good for the consumer in the long run to have this back and forth competition between Xbox and PlayStation where they have exclusives that are of high quality that make you want to buy an Xbox, and PlayStation is doing the same thing and they're fighting back and forth like they used to. I think that that's important for competition in the industry. So
totally. 100%. This is an odd spinoff of this story. It's from a story last week. Phil Spencer, Fable, Gears, the next Forza, and a franchise that's been with us since the beginning. Obviously, alluding to Halo. What are the odds that we get all of those games next year?
0%.
0%.
Yeah.
0%.
They've just never been able to line up the dominoes, and we're going to talk about PlayStation also. Whatever like is going on with all these companies and their release dates and kind of getting everything like in order, just a complete mess. Like we seemingly cannot get stuff out when we say we're going to get stuff out, and like I think it's important to like I'd rather them take longer and make these games good, and also like avoid crunch if they can. But like, geez Louise, like people are frustrated with the PlayStation 5 and the cadence in which we're getting releases, and it's like we just cannot fix this problem apparently. So
I mean,
and Xbox can't either.
I didn't even have the story in here, but Marathon's also delayed. We
Right.
can also talk about that when we're talking about this next story. But it's just like, yeah, the cadence, it's out the fucking window. This generation, and people are talking about, like, obviously there was the quote, is something else that we didn't put in this because when it comes to just like speculation and what the fun conversation is, Connor and I both agree when it comes to PlayStation being like, yeah, we're looking forward to the PS6. It's like, the second they release the PS5, they're looking forward to the PS6. That is how business works.
And it's not like they said, like, oh, it's coming out next year. It's like, we have 2-3 years left. They said 27, 28 probably. It's like, okay, like, great. Like, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
And I know that it's disappointing to be like, we didn't get like a whole bunch of first party games on it. And by the time we're done with the generation, I expect there to be more and more to like kind of bolster the PS5's library to be like, this is why you have a PS5. But we're talking about 8-year-old tech by the end of this. Like, people on PC are upgrading their shit every 2 years. and like, you need to let the developers have a console that like can meet their expectations for like what they're trying to deliver on these games or whatever. So like having them work on 8-year-old tech, like I think is kind of silly when you could get a new console out there. And I don't want to buy a new console either. But what are we gonna do? Wait till 2030 and just have 10-year-old tech here and just like be totally fine with it? So to let us like have more games on this one platform? Like, I don't know, man. I don't know.
Here's the nice part. I'll let you know. Let me quell some of your fears. There's going to be every PlayStation game that releases on the PS6 for the first 2 years will also release on the PS5.
Yeah, it's just the way that things are going now. Stuff is so scalable.
You're gonna have 10 years with that console of getting cool games on your PS5.
Right.
And like, I think that actually they won't market it that way because they're going to be pushing the PS6. But like, that's just part of the like. Every console forevermore is a 10-year console.
I appreciate Nintendo for being like, fuck it. Like we are going to have exclusives right out the gate that are only on this
console
platform.
exclusives. But I mean, PlayStation had some of them, and then now we're getting the Nintendo Switch 2 versions for some of these other titles. Like the next, like 4 of the next, I would say, let's just even say 10 Nintendo big exclusive games are Switch 2 games with Tomodachi Life and Rhythm Heaven and Metro Prime 4 and those are
Tomodachi Life and Rhythm Heaven are not big titles.
Major,
they're exciting. I'm excited about
Nintendo
them.
Like, IP, just general Nintendo IP. I don't need to say big because big. I think at this point, what I realized is you have Mario, you have Zelda, you have Pokemon, you have Animal Crossing. I'll put that in the conversation, and then you have the rest.
The next Pokemon game after Arceus is going to be exclusive.
Yeah, and it's going to sell. It's a lot of Switch 2s, not a lot of copies because the install base won't be as large as they. That's the only question. Like, what if they just want that install base?
I think that Tim made a really good point that like these consoles selling really fast and really well out the jump is really important to get exclusives on the platform because you have a bigger install base. So you're comfortable like selling to 10 million people, 20 million people rather than in the first year only having 5 million out there in the wild. So you're kind of capped out if you're making something exclusively for that platform. So I think that, but if by the end of the year I'm not good at guessing these kind of numbers because I don't really have like a frame, like I don't have a reference point here, but like by the end of the year, like how many
15 to 20 million.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's awesome. I mean, like for Nintendo, like that's a lot.
And that's gonna. I mean, it's just major for the games industry. It's so interesting to hear just other insiders talk about like what this year was supposed to be for the games industry between Switch 2 and GTA 6, and like, sure, we're not going to get those two bangers in the same year, but like, it's going to be next year, leading in with the Switch and everything. It's going to be a great 12 months of games coverage just with those two monsters. Like I'll throw this out there. I assume that we're talking about something Switch 2 basically every fucking week on this show for the foreseeable future, just because like there's just so much shit to talk about with these consoles, and it's a really exciting time. Going into our last headline of the day, we talked some Team Green, Connor. We talked about Nintendo. Let's talk about PlayStation now. Headline, rumored God of War spinoff pushed back to 2026 according to insiders. This is Alessandro Barbosa at GameSpot. Quote, while lamenting the state of his fantasy critic draft on the latest episode of The Last Nintendogs, Giant Bomb's Jeff Grubb shares that he's heard that the latest God of War title is now due to come out in 2026. No additional information regarding the reasoning for the move or whether it was the release window all along was shared. When first reported, this latest entry in the God of War franchise was described as a side story that would take the series back to Greece, and it would be released this year. Just before Sony State of Play, Insider Gaming's Tom Henderson suggested that the game was smaller in scope. Suggested that the game was smaller in scope than previously thought, while adopting a Metroidvania format in 2D, with Grubb seemingly confirming he had heard the same. End quote. Connor, God of War. This game has existed in the ether. It's always a fun one where it's a report on a rumor of a game that we don't even know exists yet and everything. Yeah. But this game seemingly exists. It's a thing. It's one of those like worst kept secrets at this point. And now it's being pushed to 2026 with Marathon. Let's bring that just in here in general being brought in here. Are you, as a PlayStation consumer, just as someone that boots up the PS5 Pro pretty often at this point, are you satisfied with the direction we're going this year with PlayStation, with only having the two major first-party games be a Sony published game in Death Stranding 2 and Sony first-party with Ghost of Yotei?
I mean, I'm okay with it. It's just in comparison to how it was during the PS4 generation, it's just not up to snuff, and it's not the same. And I don't think that adding in Marathon and this God of War spinoff game fixed the problem, honestly.
I think adding the God of War spinoff game does, to some level, getting a Sony logo there, and if it's good to great or great to amazing, like
people
it could
are
be awesome.
Clown on that game, dude, for sure.
Dude, people clown on awesome shit all the fucking time.
I know, but I'm also a little bit disappointed. I thought that this was going to be a 8 to 10 hour Miles Morales type experience.
Oh, really?
Lost Legacy type experience. Yeah.
I mean, we already kind of got that with Valhalla, though.
Yeah, I guess, but okay, then do it again.
Okay,
like in Greece, so do a prequel thing. Like I thought that it was going to be somewhat AAA. If it was made by Sony Santa Monica, a 2D Metroidvania game, I'm gonna play the hell out of it. I'm excited for it, but it's a little bit disappointing because I thought it was going to be something a little bit more robust. Whatever Naughty Dog is making that is supposedly a secondary game, smaller experience, like I have no expectations for that now, because if this is what we're getting from Sony Santa Monica, I can't even guess what they're trying to do with these secondary games.
This is, in my opinion, they're letting a talented team do something cool with a well-known IP. Like, I don't think is taking away from what we just had with Ragnarok in 2022. What my assumption is, whatever Barlog's game is in 2027, maybe 2028 at this point.
I don't know, man.
How many, like, when I hear 2D Metroidvania, especially when you have an established IP like God of War, where you don't need to influx as much art design because there's certain touch points that you have from the previous titles and everything, I'm not thinking that this is a 500-person project. Like, I think that this is a Insomniac Ratchet and Clank type of deal where you have 30 to 35 people working on this and the side. They finished up Ragnarok, and then they're like, all right, let's go on to the next thing. You guys do this. We're going to go and start building out the next blockbuster. And this is great, in my opinion, once it inevitably gets announced. It's going to help fill out a PlayStation year a little bit more, where, like, we talk about the Xbox's year. You're playing a new game every single month on Xbox. Some of them are not like great. Some of them are completely like shrug the shoulders. Some of them are very interesting titles like Keeper, or even something that's annualized like a Call of Duty Black Ops 7. For me, I would take 3 to 4 fucking must play titles, or like I'm going to play titles at least on the PlayStation side of the ball, than 12 titles where I'm only going to actually touch 2 of them on the Xbox side of the things. With that being said, right now we only have 2 PlayStation titles this year that I actually want to go sit down and roll credits on, between Ghost and Death Stranding. So if this was out this year, it would give me another reason to boot up the PS5, see the Sony first party logo, see what Sony Santa Monica is doing, and hopefully, we say it all the time, great studios make great games. I would assume that this game's gonna be fucking awesome. Especially like the 2D Metroidvania with Kratos. Are you kidding me? That would be rad. I agree that it's not what people want. And I agree to some level. I would also prefer a 10-hour, more fully fledged, all-in title. With that being said, I kind of also appreciate the fact that hopefully this is a little bit of a side studio. Like, it's obviously going to still be Sony Santa Monica. It's a little bit of a side project. So we still can have full steam ahead on what Barlog's doing. Like, that excites me to some level, being like, this isn't a 100-person project that is taking 10 to 15 hours. This can be a side project and go from there.
Yeah.
Final question of the show before we wrap this one up. This has been a fun one, man. I feel like we've gone in every which direction with some of these stories. It's been a great time. Thank you for joining me as always.
Yep.
When we're talking about this game in particular, when do we see it?
September State of Play probably.
Yeah.
Comes out early next year, I think.
I cannot wait for September State of Play.
Do we have any 2026 games at this point for next year?
I don't
for
think so.
PlayStation? Interesting.
Oh yeah, we do. Saros.
Oh yeah.
Dude,
yeah, you're right.
Come on. That's gonna be nuts,
I'm
man.
excited for that one.
I can't wait for Saros. I can't wait for just like what next year is gonna bring in totality. I also think that's September State of Play is the first time we can reasonably see Intergalactic too. Like,
yeah, I mean, I saw people talking about, like journalists talking about that game's definitely not 2026 at the very least.
yeah,
So,
I don't think. I think that the next chance that we're going to see, and this is just an interesting conversation at this point when it comes to how Sony shows their shit. I think their biggest games, they're like Wolverines, Intergalactic, Cory Barlog's next game, whatever the next God of War is, whatever the next Last of Us, whatever, is Game Awards.
Yeah.
That is the only stage that garners enough views for those types of titles. And I think that PlayStation loves working with Keighley. I think Keighley loves working with PlayStation to get those major pop moments.
No PlayStation at SGF, right?
Yeah, I don't think that there was a like Sony.
Death Stranding.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
what it was. Yeah. Which, remember beforehand, we're like, it could be Death Stranding. Of course, it was Death Stranding.
Yeah.
I cannot wait. Dude, we're 4 days away from playing Death Stranding 2.
You're right.
You feeling good about that?
I'm stoked. Yeah.
You want to know what I'm feeling good about, Connor?
What?
Our amazing Patreon members who support us at the highest tier. Thank you so much for making this show possible, keeping the lights and mics on, having a great time with us. Your support truly means the world to us, and thank you so much. Amazing members like V Slashing,
Ooh, Gracie,
Gray Direwolf,
Fathead,
Deadman,
JC,
Only One Rufus,
Chuzar,
MG Dunbar,
Mr. Munchies,
Farmer Spud,
Rocket Tater,
Nofi,
JC Falcon,
Frozen Crushes,
Swampy Bits,
Jaxie.
Sconesy,
I'm going to delete that second O right now. Okay, boom. Cheery Sentry,
TQ Lonzo,
Strachan, 1978,
Tyler D,
Scooterman,
Das Goopy,
Dingleberg Rules,
Centuru,
Hook'em Horns,
Gonash,
Neutral Sphere,
Charlie W,
Easton C,
Stooby Dooby,
Nuke This Kingdom,
Crispy,
DJ Zach B,
Uli,
Jacob D,
Big Mac,
Mel Nate,
The Patty Cake,
Bear Pog,
Yogi,
Dom.
Holden M,
Got you on that one. Colin C,
Brock,
Voodoo,
Dr. Pookie Bear,
Alex Golden,
Andrew H,
Master Diz,
Drifter X1 Skirt Skirt,
Presto,
Maverick,
Goops,
JMAT B3,
Ali Benali.
and Kingdom Hearts Sucks.
Thank you so much for joining us for this episode of the Casual Gaming News Conversation. We will see you in the next one. Peace out.